Hey guys, Al here. I hope everyone's doing good. I wanted to talk base saturations. So, get a lot of emails, questions, phone calls, texts about soil tests. And one of the most common questions is, okay, I need the lime. And one of the most common questions I ask is, well, what type of lime are you going to use? Or have you thought about that? And one of the big issues is not understanding base saturation. So, when we look at soils, we want to look at them from a chemical and a biological perspective. I want to use these two Post-it cards as an example. Pretend these are bricks. So these are two layers of soil. And we have between these two layers of soil positive ions. So calcium, magnesium, potassium, salt, or sodium, I should say, excuse me, between these. And as these spread out further, more water flow can get through, good microbiology can get through, root structures, etc. As these get tighter, you can see there's less opportunity for airflow. And down on the sides and stuff is where you're going to have, and in through this will be other root structures. Where this is important is when you have your base saturations, let's say of calcium on a 14 or 15 CEC, so a mid-textured soil, calcium is a larger molecule. So the more calcium you have, the further these are going to be apart. And there's somewhere in there between the 60 and 70% range for most soils is optimum. Likewise, when you have really high magnesium, which I see in a lot of soils, you're going to get this really tight structure. So what happens is people will call me and they'll say, I have a real clay-based soil. But actually, they don't. They have a lighter soil with a really, with a large amount of magnesium, creating a very tight chemical structure. So what you can do to offset that is make sure that you're picking the right amendments for that. For example, if your pH is great, you might add gypsum. If your pH needs adjusted, then you might add high cal lime to drive out some of that magnesium to try to get you in that optimum range. So I won't go any further into that because I know it kind of gets a little bit confusing, but if we look at optimizing our chemical structure just from the base saturation point, this isn't necessarily a yield driver. Like, it's not like putting nitrogen down or something, but it's helping us to get airflow, water flow, microflow, root development in the soil structure so that when it does rain and things, and then we're going to optimize that with biology, which is a biological element, so they can optimize bacterial, fungal, et cetera, from nutrient cycling perspective. Quick example I'll give you is I have a yard with an 18 CEC soil, but naturally it had 80% calcium. So somebody might hear of that as a really 86% calcium, I think, really heavy soil. Oh, when it rains, it must just be a sloppy mud pit. But the calcium's so high, so those bricks are so far apart that when it rains, 2 hours later, I could have 2 inches of rain out here, 2 hours later, it's like it never rained. So I'm working to try to reduce that calcium over time to get that structure a little bit tighter so we can slow that water infiltration down, still have good water infiltration in the yard, but not so much that it's just blowing through even with a higher soil structure. So I hope that makes sense, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Check out vitalizeseed.com, and thank you all so much for the business. Get outside, enjoy the outdoors.